Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I would like anyone who's able to stand and pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I will now call the meeting to order, but before that, I would just like to take a moment to thank our phenomenal staff for all the service they give our board every year in completing our task. All right, we will now call the meeting to order. Please silence your cell phones, and we're going to the consent agenda. For those who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the first time, we will concern ourselves with cases that are on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by the professionals from the various departments in the county, and to which there's no known opposition. We've discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion as needed for this decision. So as we go forward, our county zoning manager, Mr. Peterson, will read each case into the record. Mr. Peterson will ask if you're present to raise your hand and when your case is called to signify that you're here, and if there's any opposition to a case that is currently on consent, Mr. Peterson will ask you to identify yourself as the case is read into the record. We will then pull the case off of consent and hear it as part of our regular case agenda. We will then vote on all cases still on consent at one time. Once we have approved the cases on consent, we will move to our regular case agenda. All right, Mr. Peterson, it's all yours.
And thank you, Madam Chair. The following cases have been held or continued, and these cases will not be heard today. First case is variance case V129 of 2024, Charles Brown and Diane Benson Brown. This case has been continued by the staff into the January 15th, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V129 of 2024 will not be heard today. Variance case V130 of 2024, Jennifer and Trey Camburn. This case was continued by the staff until the January 15th, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V130 of 2024 will not be heard today. And finally, variance case V147 of 2024, Kevin Clayton. This case was continued by the staff until the January 15th, 2025 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V147 of 2024 will not be heard today. And with that, Madam Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda. And then before we start, I just want to let the board know that a variance case V150 of 2024, Kafi Nagabi, that case is going to be requested to be continued for 30 days. There was a posting problem with the sign, so we've notified the applicant, and they are not going to be here today. So before we start the consent agenda, the staff would ask the board to continue variance case of V150 to your January 15th, 2025 hearing.
All right.
I'll make a motion to move V157 to January.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, please. Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals variance hearing consent agenda for December 11th, 2024. First case on consent is variance case V148, Jake Anthony Strange, request a variance to number 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for a proposed 1,080 square foot building from required 100 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the west property line, 35 feet to the south property line, and 54 feet adjacent to the east property line. Number 2, reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 7 feet adjacent to the west property line, and that is an existing condition. And number 3, allow an 8.5 foot fence on a residential lot in land lot 790 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Powers Ferry Road, east of Sun Valley Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, no business, no living, workshop and crafts only. Number 2, no pool house. Number 3, no parking of vehicles in sheds. Number 4, no parking on grass, hardened surfaces only. Number 5, trailer can only be parked on a hardened surface. Create a pad, staying within the impervious requirement of 35%. Current lot coverage will be 26.25%. Number 6, only firewood and lawn furnishings are allowed to be stored outside per Cobb County Code 134-197-12E. And number 7, any further development of the property must be in compliance of all Cobb County codes and require permits before start of work. Submission into the Building and Inspections Department must be done prior to the commencement of any work. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V148? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V149, Todd Henderson. Request a variance to number 1, reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 20 feet. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an existing approximately 110 square foot shed from required 5 feet to 3 feet adjacent to the west property line and 1 foot adjacent to the south property line in land lot 26 of the 20th district. The property is located on the west side of Webster Way, north of Webster Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V149? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V151, Gordon Steele. Request a variance to number 1, increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 42% to 51%. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an uncovered structure, an existing approximately 493 square foot play area for required 5 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the west property line in land lot 238 of the 20th district. The property is located on the west side of Sutter's Pond Drive, north of Hamilton Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V151? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V152, Ann Tart Stovall and Thomas Kenneth Stovall request a variance to allow for pool equipment to be located to the side of the principal structure in land lot 253 of the 20th district. The property is located at the southern terminus of Marion Way, east of Marietta Country Club Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V152? Yes. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V153, Seth and Christy Jacob request a variance to number 1, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed 288 square foot shed for required 35 feet to 10 feet. Number 2, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed 288 square foot shed for required 10 feet to 3 feet adjacent to the north property line. And number 3, to allow parking and or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened or treated surface, which is an existing gravel driveway in land lot 649 of the 17th district. The property is located on the west side of Big John Trail, south of Paris Ferry Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case V153? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. All right, variance case V154, James Halavenka requests a variance to number 1, reduce the front setback from required 45 feet to 40 feet, which is existing. Number 2, reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 0 feet, adjacent to the west property line, and that is also an existing condition. Number 3, reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 17 feet. And number 4, reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 10 feet, adjacent to the east property line in land lot 75 of the 1st district. The property is located at the northern terminus of Maple Brook, east of Dogwood Trail. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, stormwater management comments. Number 2, traffic comments. And number 3, sewer comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V-154? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-155, Brian Arayavi, excuse me, request a variance to, number 1, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an existing one-story, 404 square foot barn on track 3 from required 50 feet to 42 feet. Number 2, reduce the setback for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for an existing approximately 3,528 square foot two-story barn and canopy from required 100 feet to 14 feet adjacent to the west property line on tracks 1 and 2. And number 3, reduce the setback for an accessory structure, which is an existing chicken coop from required 25 feet to 22 feet adjacent to the east property line on tracks 1 and 2 in land lots 278 and 315 of the 19th district. The property is located on the south side of North Cook Road, east of Castile Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V-155? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-156, Roxy and Aaron Connick request a variance to, number 1, reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed 392 square foot pool house from required 35 feet to 10 feet. And number 2, reduce the rear setback from required 35 feet to 19 feet, and that is existing, in land lots 415 and 450 of the 16th district. The property is located at the northwest corner of Oak Crest Trail and Oak Crest Court. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Yes. Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case V-156? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-158, Buy-Side Capital Advisors request a variance to, number 1, reduce the front setback from required 25 feet to 20 feet. And number 2, allow for a second electrical meter on a residential lot in land lot 588 of the 18th district. The property is located at the western terminus of Crestside Drive, west of Factory Shaw's Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case V-158? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-159, Lonnie and Stephanie Moore request a variance to, number 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for a proposed approximately 1,440 square foot two-story garage from required 100 feet to 8 feet adjacent to the east property line, 76 feet adjacent to the north property line, and 80 feet adjacent to the west property line. Number 2, allow for an accessory structure to be located on the side of the principal structure for the proposed approximately 1,440 square foot two-story garage. And number 3, allow for a second electrical meter on a single-family residential lot in land lot 223 of the 1st district. The property is located at the corner of Hyde Road and Avon Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, stormwater management comments, and number 2, no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the detached garage. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case V-159? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board.
Anybody have any questions, concerns from the board? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve all the cases on consent.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor. Please place your votes. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay, for y'all who were on the consent agenda, you're certainly welcome to leave. Do so quietly if you can. For those, we are now ready to go to our regular cases. The procedure is that Mr. Peterson will read the case into the system, and then I'm sorry, I have to be trustee. You'll be asked to come forward to be sworn in, and if you're in opposition, you'll be asked to come in to be sworn in as well. The applicant and the opposition will have 10 minutes each to present their case. All testimony will be made from the podium to the right. You have full AV capabilities. Testimony will be followed by questions from the board and may be directed at either party. A reminder, once the comments from all parties are related to the case have concluded, the public hearing is closed, and there'll be no further comments from the parties unless they're asked by a member of the board, at which point you'll be asked to come back to the podium. All right, Mr. Peterson?
Okay, first case we're going to hear today is variance case V-138, West Buchanan, request a variance to number 1, allow an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for a proposed 1,800 square foot sports court to be located closer to the side street than the principal building. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for the proposed 1,800 square foot sports court from required 100 feet to 7 feet adjacent to the north property line, 14 feet adjacent to the west property line, and 91 feet adjacent to the south property line in land lot 255 of the 20th district. The property is located on the west side of Cherry Bark Trace, south of Walker Hill Way. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-138? No. The record shows no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Hello, everyone. Wes Buchanan, homeowner, also contractor, asking for a variance for a sport court, obviously, and here to maybe answer any additional questions or clear up any misunderstandings from the last hearing. Just to recap, back in August, we pulled a permit for a pool with some walls around the pool and also an 18-inch wall up around where we're asking for a sport court as well, which was on the plan and approved. Again, it's only 18 inches tall. And I think that said 7 feet from the property line, but it's technically about almost 10 feet from the property line. And so I know Mr. Bloin and I have spoken since, and maybe want to discuss some elevations, or if you guys have any additional questions about topo, how it relates, the sport court relates from the house to the street. Really just here to answer any questions or to clear up any misunderstandings.
Those are all your comments at this point in time?
Yes, and until you guys.
All right. There's no opposition. We'll actually close the public hearing, but then we'll turn this over to Mr. Bloin, who will ask you questions.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. And we had a discussion about this earlier today, and you'd indicated, if you could just go ahead and clarify for us all, the elevations. You had some elevation numbers. Do you have those in front of you still? Or?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you give us the elevation at the curb, and then at the top of the wall, and then at the
Yes.
the nearest level of the sport court? Yeah.
So the curb obviously varies because the street's going uphill. So it varies anywhere between 1114 to 1116-ish, somewhere in there. The top of the wall, which is an 18-inch wall, top of the wall is 1118.5. And so that grade on the street side will flush out with the top of the wall. So on Walker Hill Way, you will not even see the wall. So then that steps down 18 inches to the actual sport court, which is 1117.
Okay. And then you indicated the willingness to put a smaller evergreen buffer between where the wall is and cherry bark.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I checked with my wife, and she indicated something that might work, and I'm just throwing this out as a suggestion, would be, what did she come up with? Wintergreen boxwoods?
Oh, yeah.
Since you're,
Oh, yeah. I've got plenty of those already, so I love those.
okay. And if we could just come up with if you could come up with some sort of plan for us that shows this and shows a planning of those between there. What I'm concerned about is just somebody wandering onto the property and
Yeah,
stepping over an edge,
of
right?
course, of course.
So if we could just come up with a plan that maybe creates a hedge of that up against that wall, is that something you think we could do before next month?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right. And then you'd indicated also, what were the distances from the curb? Could you give us those?
Yeah, I kind of have this sheet of paper here if you want me to put it on the screen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so from this wall to the curb, so from here to here. Okay. So from this portion of the wall to the curb, you've got 28.5 feet. And on this side over here, it's actually a little bit even further. And right in the center, it's about 24 feet.
So at the shortest distance, it's still, because of the right-of-way that amounts to grass on your property, you still have 24 feet to work with?
Yes,
Okay. And then you're estimating actually that it's 9.5 feet. So then you indicated the sport court is actually further away than that, correct?
yes.
All right, so how far is the nearest point of the court to the road?
I would say the court is probably going to be another 4 feet inside this wall, somewhere in here, so you're probably talking 28 feet.
Yeah, so in reality, the sport court itself is not coming within 13 feet of the right-of-way?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Those are all the questions I had of the applicant. Anybody else? All right. You can have a seat for a second, and we'll, can I check with the DOT and just get your thoughts on whether these numbers seem about right?
Dije Florim, DOT.
Okay, and then I haven't asked you to run out there and verify anything beforehand, so this is all kind of cold. But what I'm asking is, does this seem about right that those numbers given for how much right-of-way there is between the curb and the property line? Does that seem about right?
It appears correct based on the GIS. That's all that I have to go with right now.
That's all that I had for DOT. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. And then if I could just ask staff, Mr. Peterson, so if we modified this setback to say that first of all, does the wall need a setback at all, or a variance at all, or is it just the sport court?
It's just a sport court.
All right, so if we varied that to 12 feet instead of the 7 requested, that would make everything compliant, correct?
It says here they want to reduce the setback to 0 feet adjacent to the road.
No. Maybe I'll have to get the applicant back just to
Or
verify.
adjacent to the right-of-way, not the road.
Okay. You can come back up. Let's just clarify that. Don't want to get it wrong. Don't want to make you have to pay another application fee.
Yeah, so the actual sport court is about 9.5 feet at its closest point to the right-of-way. That's just where it arcs. Everywhere else, you're,
But that's the wall. That's not the court itself, right?
yeah, that's just a little 18-inch wall that's sunken down. And so
Right.
the actual sport court's an additional 4 feet inside that.
All right.
So you're
I
close
got
to
it.
14 feet from the right-of-way.
All right. So if we said sport court variance, sport court to be at least 12 feet from right-of-way of Cherry Bark, that'd be fine, correct? That-
Walker Hill Way.
Walker Hill Way. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And again, the sport court is, yeah, that's going to work for you. You don't
Yes.
need to have the sport court right in the right of way.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, so yes,
I did want to ask.
Sure.
When he submits his plans for the bushes that you suggested, can he just submit that, or does he need to come back for another hearing?
no, I think we'll just make that a stipulation and take care of it.
And I have a visual.
Would you like to go ahead and put it in the record? He can show it to us.
So this is the hedge we were talking about, Mr. Boulogne, that obviously would be smaller.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, my interest is just keeping some hedge there so somebody doesn't walk over the edge
Absolutely.
inadvertently. Not that folks will wander onto your property in your neighborhood as a matter of course, but it could be animals, could be whatever.
Right.
Right? We have those. I think everybody does. Okay. Yeah. So, let's see. What other, you can have a seat again.
Okay. Thank you.
What other, Mr. Peterson, what other county requirements or county recommendations, if any, were there in terms of conditions on this? Any comments at all? Any staff comments?
And I'm looking at the county comments in the variance analysis, and there are not any in there that would impact the applicant's proposal.
Right. Okay. So if I just said, if I move to recommend approval, subject to requirement that the applicant plant a hedgerow of wintergreen boxwoods proximate to the fence and at least 5 feet outside the right-of-way, and then kept the right-of-way grassed and cleared otherwise, and that we modify the variance to state that the sport court is at least 12 feet from the right-of-way, and that we have some other language regarding lighting that we've typically gone with, where we require that the lighting be, downward cast, and so that it wouldn't be intrusive to adjoining neighbors. Is that the language we usually use in these situations, or is there better language I should use in that regard?
For the lighting, probably put, the lighting for the sports court shall be shoebox style that points straight down.
Okay. Do we sometimes use words like environmentally friendly, or am I misstating that?
We do use that term once in a while.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go ahead and make my motion then that we approve this variance subject to the modification that the variance be as to the proximity of the sport court to, I'm looking for the road name again. Walker Hill Road, that it's modified to 12 feet is the distance from the right-of-way to the nearest point of the sport court, and that as conditions for the grant of the variance, that the fencing that's been referenced have a continuous hedge placed proximate to it, so as to mitigate the possibility of anybody stepping over that or anything inadvertently falling onto the sport court. Continuous hedge of wintergreen boxwoods, and that the lighting be shoebox style lighting pointing down so as to be environmentally friendly towards neighbors and others in the neighborhood.
I'll second it.
Place your votes, please. Motion passed 5-0. It's been approved. Thank you. Next case.
Okay, the next case is variance case V157. Jeff Resnick requests a variance to number 1, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for a proposed 3,000 square foot storage building, required 100 feet to 75 feet adjacent to the east property line, 68 feet adjacent to the south property line, and 29 feet adjacent to the north property line. Number 2, allow an accessory structure to be located in front of and to the side of the principal building, which is an existing approximately 132 square foot shed. Number 3, to allow an accessory structure to be located in front of or to the side of the principal building for an existing 30 square foot cooler. Number 4, to allow an accessory structure to be located in front of and to the side of the principal building for an existing approximately 352 square foot storage building. Number 5, to allow an accessory structure to be located in front of and to the side of the principal building for an existing 440 square foot storage building. And number 6, to allow a second electrical meter on a single-family residential lot in land lot 264 of the 20th District. The property is located on the east side of Mars Hill Road, north of Hadaway Road. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V157? No. Let the record show there's no one opposed.
Good afternoon. If you'll state your names for us and present your case.
Melissa King.
And I'm Jeff Resnick, and we're the owners of the property. This is my wife.
So we have a nonprofit. It's called Your New Best Friend.
If you
It
could
was
just,
started
excuse me, if
in
you could speak up just a little bit.
I'm sorry?
Speak up into the mic.
So our nonprofit was started in 2015. Our daughter started it. She is now 18, so I don't know, she was nine at the time. So we originally started and we were a rescue for dogs. So between 2015 and 2020, we adopted out 1,200 dogs. All of those dogs were fostered in our home, and we adopted them out. They were all spayed and neutered and had all the proper veterinary care. In 2020, there was another nonprofit that used to pick up animal food from grocery stores, and they basically went out of business. And so they asked us if we would like to do that. And so we proceeded to take over what they had been doing, and then COVID happened. So while we were at these grocery stores, they decided that they started giving us human groceries. And so we tried to figure out what we were going to do with the human groceries along with the animal food at the same time. And so we found a place in Douglas County and in Paulding County where we started distributing the human groceries and our animal food. So we shifted our nonprofit to do more community work instead of pulling animals from the shelters around the state. And we were then just providing animal food and human food to people who were in need during COVID. Well, we then became an affiliate of the Atlanta Community Food Bank. And fast forward to 2024, and we are now one of the largest food banks in the area of Northwest Georgia. So we distribute approximately 1 million pounds of animal food a year and 1.5 million pounds of human food a year. And we are now distributing all of that in Cobb County. So we don't really have any place to store non-food. And we are currently out of space. We keep school supplies, clothing, everything in our garages. We built a little shed off of our driveway. It's full of clothing. We're basically having to turn away donations. And we want to not do that any longer. And so we've raised the money to build this building in our backyard. And we would like to do that at this point so that we don't have to turn away donations and we can distribute them. We have enough space to keep all of the food that we get delivered each week in the gym that we rent on the edge of Cobb County. And so we would like to continue to be able to get all of the non-food donations that we're getting and distributing them.
When we started, we thought we'd feed 100 families, maybe. Last month, we were over 2,500 families, which represented over 10,000 people. About 30% are elderly, about I'd say 50% almost are children. And when she talks about additional things, Walmart will give us a truckload of clothes, but we get summer clothes in winter. So we have to store them till the following summer. We don't have any place to put it. And we get winter clothes in summer, and Walmart gave us almost 50 bicycles to hand out this Christmas. The donations are huge. We've grown so big, we've just outgrown the facilities of where we can put all of this. And the impact on the community has been huge. Never dreamt that we would hit 10,000 people helping. So what we're asking is to build a facility on our land. We have over 3 acres. The facility would be in the very back of the property. It's totally wooded. I've gotten the signatures of any neighbors that would be affected. They're all okay with it. When you look from their property to our property, it's a complete wooded line. You can hardly see through. They would have a tough time seeing back there to see where the building is. It already has a cement driveway that goes all the way back up to the back of our property. And basically, at the growth rate of what we're going, we desperately need this to be able to still service the community.
Fred?
You won't see it from the road. I mean, you can't. You can't even see my house from the road.
Which, in looking at this, are we to the left?
You would be towards the right. You see where Mars Hill Road goes in the front there? Mm-hmm. It would be all the way, see that plot in the very back that's vacant? Mm-hmm. There's no trees. We don't have to clear any trees. It's already level. It's an open plot that right now I just play with my dogs in.
Okay.
And the property is completely fenced all the way around. There's already a fence that runs all the way around, basically inside that yellow line.
Okay.
I mean, none of my neighbors have access to walk back there or anything. I mean, it's, like I said, you can see the tree line that goes around the back of the property. Yes, ma'am.
You've run out of time, so.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Look, and I was
I
listening to you, and
apologize.
I don't feel bad. I wasn't looking at
Ma'am, Madam Chairman, they didn't run out of time, but y'all started engaging in questioning, and so the clock stopped because the public hearing. So if we're still keeping time, they had about 4 or 5 minutes left.
About how long?
About 4.5 minutes left. But the board started engaging in questions, and so the clock stopped.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Can you reset the timer?
So, is there anything we can answer? I mean, this is for the community.
Is anything else that we can? Yeah, okay, we can close the public hearing now. Have a seat, and when we have questions, we'll bring you back. Huh?
Thank you.
Do you need him to stay?
I'm sorry?
They need you to stay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, no,
Just stay. We just closed the public hearing.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a legality thing, so.
So thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for serving the community. I appreciate that. I'll start with that and all you're doing for the community. what I'm trying to do is to balance what's going on out here against the residential the residential nature of the area that you're in generally, right? That's the task. Tell me how many vehicles or trucks you have coming and going on a weekly basis as a result of the,
We just have one box truck that we keep on our property, that's it.
Oh, sorry.
We just have one box truck. It's a 20-foot box truck, that's it. And then we have our personal cars. We have 3.
There's no deliveries that would come
Yeah.
here. There's no impact as far as semi-trucks or any of that kind of stuff.
No.
That's delivered to our current location.
what's your current location?
It's a commercial location. It's 225 Hiram Ackworth Highway, Dallas, 30157. And that is Cobb County, even though it's a Dallas address.
Okay. Who owns that property?
It's Church of the Vine. And all of our food is stored there. There would be no food stored at our property.
We rent their gym location to hold our food bank out of.
That is also where all of our, that is all the semi-trucks from the Atlanta Community Food Bank, everything is delivered there at that location.
Okay.
Nothing comes to our residents.
And your proposal would not change that?
Correct. It
So-
would not. Our
but-
box truck has been on our property for 2 years now, and it has not affected anything.
What is the box truck used for on the property?
We pick up food from 5 grocery stores. There's a Cobb County police officer that goes with myself every Monday and Thursday morning at 5:30 a.m. And we pick up at 4 Publix and 1 Walmart. And then we take it to the 225 Hiram Ackworth Highway location, and we distribute it on Monday and Thursday mornings.
Okay. So the box truck is not used to bring things back currently to
No.
this property?
No, it's
But-
just empty there.
All right.
We just keep it there on the days that we're not using it. We don't really feel comfortable leaving it at the church because it's not a gated off place.
No security there.
All right. So do you have any refrigerated on-site storage on your property here, this property?
We do.
All right. What's that used for?
It's just personal use. And then we have a building that we used to use for our rescue. It has, we have a license for kennel and grooming, and we have our veterinary clinics there. We spay and neuter approximately 500 animals at our, at Due West Animal Hospital each year for the community, free of charge. And we do free vaccine clinics. We still do a lot of animal work, even though we do all of this food stuff.
Okay. Well, what portion of this animal work is done on this site?
We really don't do that stuff anymore. We just have a building that we hold a kennel license for through the Department of Agriculture. Right now, it is full of clothes and shoes. That's why we need a building. But it's one of those structures that is listed.
Okay. You see where there's currently a stream shown on this map that's up here? Is there a stream there?
It runs at the very front. See that driveway? It doesn't really run on our property.
It doesn't go in it goes on the opposite side of the driveway of our neighbors.
Yes,
All right. Well, what about the one to the rear that's
There
shown?
is not
there
one.
isn't one.
We have no standing water, no, I'm kind of confused why that's even showing up on there. There's never been, even when it rains hard, there's no standing water.
Okay.
The reason why we have a driveway all the way to the rear is the person who built the house originally in the architectural, I have the original, I don't know what they call that, the lot map or whatever. He was gonna build 2 600-square-foot garages in the back. So that's the only reason why there's a driveway all the way to the back of the property.
You have other locations as well in Paulding and Douglas still, or no?
We do not.
We do not.
No. We have moved
Consolidate.
everything to Cobb County. We live in Cobb County. We want to support everything in Cobb County. Our grocery stores that we pick up from are all in Cobb County. We're keeping all of the donations in Cobb.
If you built this warehouse on your property, what activities would take place on this property?
It would be essentially the same that is happening right now. We would just be able to move it out of our garage space and our front space so that we could get our house back. And I would be able to put our cars in our garage, and we would be able to have a normal life.
Oh,
I don't know if you have a normal life, but it's
No,
really impacting
I'm sure
our
not.
life. It's really hard to have a life.
It gets hard when you're starting to store boxes in your dining room and all over the house. Next thing I know, she's bringing in all these boxes. They're going in our dining room because we got nowhere else to put them.
Yeah.
It's just we've grown very large in a short amount of time, and it's been very challenging to be able to continue to grow and get everything we need to service the community.
What kind of dog kenneling is going on currently on your property?
Nothing, just our own personal dogs. We don't do that. You have to, when you're in an animal rescue, it's part of the state of Georgia requirements when you're in animal rescue, but we don't do the actual rescuing of animals anymore. What we do is the vaccine clinics and provide food for families in need. So they keep their animals instead of turning them into a shelter.
If any of my fellow board members have questions? No?
Nope, I'm good.
It's a no across the board. Okay. Well, I'm going to make a motion to hold this for 30 days, just because this is I can't recall in 6 years having another case quite like this one. And not prepared to make a motion, a substantive motion at this time.
Do we have a second? You don't have a second. So would you like to change your motion?
No?
Okay.
Somebody else can make a motion if they wish to.
I honestly don't see, can you explain to the board why you feel that this needs to be held for another 30 days?
Yes, because we typically don't allow warehousing in residential areas, but this is a nonprofit, so it's something of a different case, but it's something I think needs careful consideration.
Will your structure look anything on the outside like your home? Will it have it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're planning on matching the structure, the architecture, and everything of your
Yes.
home?
Yes, ma'am.
That's important to know. Okay. Deidre, do you have any questions? You look like you did.
I did have a question, but it was answered earlier. I think it was related to your deliveries, which you answered about having your deliveries at a commercial spot as opposed to coming to your home. I think that was
Yes.
the main concern that I had was the impact to the neighbors in terms of the trucks that may or may not come. Do you have any renderings of what you're proposing to build there, like what it will look like?
In the beginning, I thought, I mean, we might have a copy of it here. I thought we turned that in when we originally did all the paperwork.
And what's the approximate square footage?
It's 3,000. It's
3,000.
30 by 100, and it's gray with a black roof, and it matches our house.
Are you planning to have water, sewer, power going to it?
Just power, no water.
No water or sewer.
Okay.
Yeah, no water. No one's living back there or anything. It's just going to be boxes.
Just for lights.
Understood. Okay, those are my questions.
Let me see.
So, do we have a, Mr. Johnson, help me on protocol.
Well, there's a motion on the table. I believe if there's not been a second.
Yeah.
Then that motion languishes, and there would need to be a subsequent motion to make a determination as to this application.
I'm willing to second that motion. Just, I understand Mr. Beloin has some concerns, and maybe he wants to work with the applicant to, in these 30 days, to walk through a solution, possibly.
I was wondering if Mr. Peterson can address the issue that Mr. Beloin has with regards to this.
It's certainly, within Commissioner Beloin's discretion to request more information if he does not have enough to make a decision today. And the board has done that in the past. And this is a non-typical thing for us to take a look at, because normally it's not a charity, it's something else. If Mr. Beloin thinks he can get to a solution within 30 days, then I would recommend the board just hold it and let Commissioner Beloin try to get it worked out with the applicant.
All right.
So there's a second.
Yeah,
So there's a second, so we take a vote.
we can take a vote at this, there's a second, so we can vote whether or not we want to hold. Okay, I'm lost here. Vote to hold or vote to not hold?
There's a motion to hold. Was there a second?
There was a second.
Second. So
then
that's
call
a motion on the
then
floor
call
right
for
now.
vote.
Okay, so
The
motion fails.
So we'll
So now
entertain a
there-
new motion.
Anyone can make a alternative motion.
Okay. Excuse me, motion failed 3-2. Would it be proper to put a stipulation about about the siding and the appearance of it? All right, go ahead.
Mr. Peterson, so is this appropriate? I don't know. I don't know what is appropriate to discuss, but are there stipulations that one could put on what they're requesting that would make sure that this would not be something that turns into, like, it's not going to be commercial, it's a storage facility, basically. So is there anything that we can put on as stipulations that hopefully that Mr. Beloin can accept within the next 30 days of figuring out what this is? Do you have any recommendations so that we could move forward with this?
Yes, and before I address that, can I ask the applicant a couple of questions?
Sure, certainly.
Please do.
Okay. Part of your request has to do with a lot of other smaller storage buildings and accessory structures. Would you be willing to get rid of all those if you got this one giant building in the back?
I don't-
Because they're all kind of clustered in front of your home. I was asking, if the board approves this 3,000 square foot storage building, are you willing to get rid of all these other accessory buildings that are in front of your house? You got the 132 square foot shed, the 30 square foot cooler, the 352 square foot storage building, and a 440 square foot storage building. Do you really need all those plus this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, they kind of all serve a little bit different purposes. Two of them were there when we purchased the property in 2017. So one of them could leave. It's not permanent. So.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, one of them could leave. It's the one that we got last year that we thought would be big enough to house everything that holds 10 pallets of items. So that one could leave.
Okay. And to address your question, Commissioner Swanson, you know, there are conditions the board can consider if they want to approve this. And one would be to ask them to remove one of the accessory buildings that is currently in the request. Number two, you can definitely put architecture on there regarding how the exterior of the building looks. You could put conditions on there regarding lighting of the building. Put conditions on there that, they, you know, residential or commercial use of the accessory building. So it's always going to be a storage building with only one utility running to it. You know, no water, right?
Yeah,
no
no
sewer.
water.
But we do need
We don't-
electricity. though.
We
Yeah,
don't need,
and-
we don't need outside lighting. We
Okay.
don't need water.
And you did get your neighbors to sign off on this? The ones
Yes,
that-
all of them signed off.
Okay. And maybe put hours on it, Commissioner Swanson? For
Absolutely.
deliveries? So there's not trucks coming and
There
going?
would be no deliveries.
There are no deliveries.
Oh, okay.
Our little box truck would be all that would be bringing things there, and we would hand unload any boxes out of it.
Okay. And maybe put a condition on there that the box truck be parked by the 3,000 square foot storage building? So it's kind of
Yes.
away from
We
everything.
plan on parking it inside the
Oh,
building.
okay. Well, that'll work even better.
So then, since it's not in my district, I can make a motion on another commissioner's district?
Correct.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we approve variance 157 with the repeat of the following conditions: to remove the one accessory building,
Prior to the CO of the new building,
okay, prior to the CO of the new building,
okay?
that the architect will match the primary residence, that the lighting will be provided for the inside of the storage facility only, no outside, no outdoor lighting, that there will be no residential use, it's for commercial use only, it's for storage use only. You'll have no water, no sewer, you will have no deliveries from outside sources, that your box truck that you use will be parked inside the building. With that, I make the motion to approve it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been approved and made and seconded. I'll place your votes, please. All right, you're approved. And get with the.
Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, and get with the staff and be sure they give you clarification on all these additions, okay?
I'd just like to say one thing is that I really commend you for everything that you do for Cobb County, and there needs to be more people like you out there, so thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Yeah, and what is your official name? I think I missed that.
It's your new best friend.
Your new best friend. Okay,
Yeah.
I did see that. Thank you.
We haven't been able to put up a Christmas tree in 5 years because we can't get anything out of our garage. So maybe next year.
So I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah,
And
thank
thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we have a little bit of business to handle. Has everyone had time to review our new schedule for 2025?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve schedule for 2025.
Second.
Please vote. All right, schedule's approved. Now, the other thing is, we have minutes from our variance hearing on November 13th and our special call work session on December 9th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes are approved. And now I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved. Second.
Please place your vote. Okay, we are adjourned. Merry Christmas, everybody.